Hi, my name's John, and today I'm going to be showing you how to use Wikipedia's automatic translation tool to translate articles in between one language and another language within Wikipedia. So I'm going to assume that you've never used Wikipedia before and just run through how you set up your Wikipedia account, how you activate the translation tool, and how you start contributing translations and publishing them within Wikipedia. One of the big problems with Wikipedia is that the people who contribute to it tend to be from a reasonably small demographic group of people. The people who edit Wikipedia tend to be male, they tend to be white, European or North American. So that means that we're missing a lot of content in areas which are of less interest to white European guys, essentially. So we'd really like to encourage contributions from English into other languages, and we're going to be running a workshop event quite soon in London for speakers of Turkish to encourage contributions from Turkish diaspora, people in Turkish diaspora to the Turkish Wikipedia, because at the moment Wikipedia is blocked in Turkey, and so we're not getting the contributions that we used to get from Wikipedia editors in Turkey, because it's much harder to edit from Turkey now, although you can still access Wikipedia reasonably easily. So the first thing we're going to do is to go to wikipedia.org, choose the language that you want to do this in. I'm doing this in English, but the exact same process goes for any other language. And when you create an account on English Wikipedia, it's also valid on any other of the language Wikipedias or any of the other Wikimedia projects like Wikimedia Commons, where all the images are kept, or Wikidata, which is the data repository. So if you go to create account, you might find that you have to mess around with different account names to find one that is acceptable to the username generation system. For some reason, some types of account are not valid. You might want to choose something that's anonymous if you don't want it to be tied to whoever you are. So I'm going to choose something like Wikitranslator Turkçe 2. And if you want people to be able to email you through the website, you can put your email address, but it is optional. So when you create your account on Wikipedia, the first thing you'll notice on the homepage, apart from this pop-up that suggests an article that I could start editing, is that you have a whole bunch of tabs at the top of the page that suggest things to do with your account. So the first thing you'll see is your account name here, and it's currently in red. And when you see a red link on Wikipedia, it basically means that it's a link to a page that doesn't exist yet. Wikipedia is based on the concept of hyperlinking, which is fundamental to the World Wide Web that Tim Berners-Lee created in the early 90s. And a wiki is a website where anybody can create new pages or edit existing pages, and so part of that is you can link to pages that don't currently exist yet, but if you click on the link to them, it will ask you if you want to create that page. So if I click on my username, it will say user Wikitranslator Turkçe 2 and ask me if I want to create it. So I click on this create tab, and it will ask me what editor do I want to use, because there are two ways of editing Wikipedia. One is with the visual editor, which is a newer form of editor that looks like a word processor, so it will be familiar to most people. And the other form is a text editor that uses wiki markup to do linking and referencing, which looks a little bit like a basic form of HTML or some kind of web coding language like that. You probably won't need to use the source editor for very many things on Wikipedia, although there are some things that you need it for. So you can mostly edit in the visual editor, and if we get rid of these notices, you'll see here at the top of the page that you can change the editor that you're using from the visual editor to the source editor. But you probably just want to stay on the visual editor for the moment, because all we're going to do here is to put one line about why we created this account, so that other people who see see this account will know that we're a legitimate editor. We're not coming to vandalize the projects, or that we understand the rules of Wikipedia and are here to contribute positively to the website. I am a British person in London who is learning Turkish, and I will use this account for translating articles from English to Turkish. So I'm just going to save that, and it's going to ask me to describe what I changed. I can put created page here if I want, but it's my own user page, so this is not really necessary for this, although when you make changes to other pages, you might want to describe what you changed, so that when people are looking in the history of the page, they can see that you've gone and made some specific change when you edited it. So here, if you go to the History tab, you can see the history of the editing of my own page, and as you can see, all it says is that I edited the page, my username, when I edited it, how many bytes of information I added, and what I said I did when I edited it. You can see that on any page on Wikipedia to see who changed what when on any Wikipedia page. So I just made my first edit and got a notification, so thanks, cool. So the next thing I'm going to do after creating my user page is to go to my preferences, because there are a couple of things that it's useful to change here to make editing easier. The first thing is that I want to be shown both editing tabs when I'm on a page. Edit source and edit. So rather than just showing me the edit tab, which will take me to the visual editor, I want it to show me both tabs so that I have the option of editing in the source editor or the visual editor. The second thing is to go to beta features, where you'll find the translation tool. So content translation within Wikipedia is currently a beta feature, and you will find, depending on what language you're translating from and to, that although the content translation is getting better and it uses some Google services now to do that, it's still a bit basic or not very effective from certain languages to other languages. One European language to another European language will probably be quite effective, but maybe it won't be as effective sometimes translating English to Turkish or English to another Middle Eastern or Asian language, where there's less content available, because part of how Google improves its own translation systems is through scraping data off of Wikipedia. So last year, the Welsh Wikipedia passed 100,000 articles in Welsh, and Google started offering some of its services in Welsh as well. Having all of that free content available in Welsh on Wikipedia allows Google to improve its Welsh translation and offer its services in Welsh as well. So one of the ways that the reasons we think people should add more information to smaller language Wikipedias is because it then makes it easier for big companies like Google to provide services in those languages, because they can use all of that information that's freely available on Wikipedia. People should be able to learn in their own languages online on Wikipedia. There should be content available about scientific, medical, and other subjects on Wikipedia in every language, so that people are not forced to study medicine in English or another big language if they don't want to. We don't want to linguistically homogenize the world, and so having lots of digital content available in smaller languages is really important for keeping that diversity of the world's culture online. So after you've turned on the translation tool and saved it, you're going to be able to find the translation up here in your contributions. You can see that it's added this translations thing there. You can also click on contributions and then go to the translation tool here. So first of all, what you're going to see here is it's suggesting pages that I can translate from Turkish into English. Now, I want to do this the other way around and say that it should be English into Turkish, because I know that there's a lot less content on the Turkish Wikipedia, and so I want to help improve it. So, okay, so I'm going to decide on a page to translate, and I'm going to say this Bronze Age settlement, which gets 81,000 visits per week on English Wikipedia, is a good candidate for being translated into Turkish. So it's decided to call it the same thing in Turkish, and as I think this is a Canaanite settlement that is in Israel, Palestine, that we are going to leave the name as it is. I don't need to translate this because it's not an English word. And then it's going to basically try and do an automatic translation of some of this stuff for me. Now this is an info box, and the info box uses a template that you need to add in the source editor, so it's having a bit of a hard time translating the stuff that's in this info box. So I might need to publish the page and come back to it and add the info box manually. Wikipedia is a work in progress all of the time, so it doesn't have to be perfect. You know, you don't have to be the greatest academic mind on the planet to be able to contribute to this. And certainly the automatic translation into Turkish is not going to be perfect, but it's better than nothing. And hopefully, you know, if I did publish it with this not particularly good translation as it is now, somebody would come along and help to improve it in Turkish. So I'm just going through, and it's just trying to automatically add translations in all of these to Turkish from English, and it's not too big an article, so we're going to get to the end pretty soon. I've actually found here that Google's translator for English can render this part better in Turkish. So this is trying to do an automatic kind of translation of the International Phonetic Alphabet, which is not particularly succeeding. So, you know, I might want to think, well, maybe I should just take this out. Is it better to have no information than bad information there? So, I mean, you know, this translation is not going to be perfect by any means. So, I mean, you know, I can publish it as it is, and someone's probably going to come along and say, this is a terrible translation, how have you done this? And I'll say, I just did it with Google Translate. And hopefully they would improve it, but I can also just go back to my all translations, and the draft of this article will be kept here as a draft that I can go back to if I want to. I feel like there should be a way to send somebody else a draft article. If anybody knows what that is, please let me know, because I'd be quite interested to find out. When you finish your draft, you can click on publish. But as you can see, I'm actually getting a message here that says that my translation contains too much unmodified text, and it's actually asking me to go and properly translate parts of this better than I have at the moment. So although you don't have to be a really professional translator to do this, I think this is a really great way that you could get a lot better at translation. And my Turkish is probably not good enough at the moment to like really translate a really major article like this without simply using a lot of Google Translate. But once you have done, and it might be easier for you to start with a smaller article than this. I mean, this is a medium-sized article, but there are lots of much smaller articles than this that you could try to translate from one language into another. And once you have modified it to the satisfaction of the translation program, you will be able to click on publish, and it will publish the article on the target Wikipedia that you want to translate, the language that you want to translate it into, and it will say this article has been translated from the English version of this article. So I hope that was useful to you in learning how to start an account on Wikipedia, how to find the translation tool within the preferences, and how to use it to start translating articles from one language to another language. If you have any questions, you're welcome to ask us on Twitter, and we'll do our best to advise you on anything that you want to know about Wikipedia, about translating from one language to another, or about how to start your own Wikipedia workshop if you want to do that in the institution or community centre or wherever you'd like to do that. We can provide advice. So thanks for watching, and see you around.